Hello and welcome back to the woodshed, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my chainsaw, but not the chainsaw as in the chainsaw, basically sharpening the blade. With me, I'm not the best chain sharpener. I'm pretty much like most people that have chainsaws. It's used in a garden, a domestic setting, and occasionally to produce firewood for myself or go harvesting hiking sticks when I go off to other people's properties and they want me to move a few things before I can get to what I want. So sharpening a blade is quite important on the chainsaw. That's a blatant obvious and a given, but how many of us are guilty of using a chainsaw where the blade is not sharp? The engine starts bogging down, it starts juddering, jumping back, pulling off in strange directions, and a lot of that is down to the chain and how sharp it is and how it has been sharpened. I usually, or traditionally, I've been like a lot of you, I would guess. I've used files to sharpen the chain, and I can get a chain pretty sharp, but it never does feel like it does straight out of the box when a new chain goes on it. So, you know, even though there are people that are absolutely magic at sharpening chains with files, I'm not one of those. I can get it to cut wood, but very quickly it dulls down, and on top of that it doesn't feel like I've actually got it the sweet spot where it should be. But I've also used these contraptions and jigs and things like that. They're so frustrating to use that you very quickly tire of them and you throw them away. They really do grate deep into your core using those devices. Taking your chainsaw to a garden centre or a workshop specialising in chainsaws and having it sharpened is probably a good answer to all those things I've just shown you, but it's going to cost, and as most people know, chainsaws never stay sharp very long. You do need really the capacity to sharpen yourself. Now, I did some work with a friend a couple years ago, and I was there sharpening with my files as I've just shown you, and he walked down and produced this little box that had some wires sticking out and said, use this. So he pulled it out, and lo and behold, it was a little electric grinding wheel which you plugged into the car battery, and off you went. You had basically a small little grinder and you did the teeth. Now, using that, within a few minutes my chainsaw blade was not like a brand new chainsaw blade, but it was good enough for me to actually think, what have I been missing all these years? So this is my chainsaw, and it's a Stihl. It's relatively new. It's not new, but I fell into the trap. I bought a cheap Chinese one, and within 6 to 8 weeks it blew a hole in the piston. But in any case, I've got a Stihl MS 171, which is adequate for me to do my firewood and harvesting hiking sticks when I need to get, or I'm told, could I cut down a few little saplings that are probably as big around as that, so I can start cutting that off their property. So yeah, and that's my blade that I've sharpened with the grinder, and I'm extremely happy with it. Right, let's just see how this chainsaw blade is cutting. I don't have any big wood here. I've only got my little logs. I'll just run it through one or two, and you can see that the little grinding setup that I've got does actually do a decent job to the blade. And my chain was pretty blunt before I got it. So a little bit of safety, considering I've got an eye issue. Get kitted up. So basically in here I've got a 12-volt little grinding machine which fits onto a battery, and you've got a little grinding wheel there which you run along the actual teeth, the same as you would a file, but the advantage is you can actually angle this correctly because you actually have the angles on the plate, so there's no guessing, and it's a lot faster doing it, and this gives you a way better cutting edge than if you're just an ordinary guy who doesn't use a chainsaw and do a lot of sharpening, and it's just basically a domestic chainsaw, and you're not doing any commercial or a lot of chainsawing. You probably will never become that proficient doing it with a file. You may do, but I've never got to that point. All I've ever got to is I could actually get the chainsaw to cut again. But this has been a game changer from when Chris introduced it to me. When I stopped doing the job over there, which was cutting up a load of fallen trees, I went back to using a file because I didn't need it that often, and it was extremely frustrating. It got so frustrating I went and ordered one of these, and I think it was less than 20 quid if memory serves me. This isn't a product review. All I'm saying is these here little grinding stones to sharpen chainsaw blades, chains, are absolutely fantastic, and I fully recommend you get one if you're suffering with the issues that I have of never having a really sharp chainsaw chain. It was always half dull, and you always felt like it should or needs to be cutting better. It was bogging down, binding in wood. You felt like you was working harder than you needed. You were working when the chainsaw should have been doing it for you, when you were forcing it, and then it all becomes dangerous. So this has been a game changer for me, and it just attaches to a little 12-volt battery, and I've got plenty of those kicking around because my kids have got like little electric go-karts and toys of that nature. When the go-kart gets knackered, I just take the batteries out if they're any good. So I'll just quickly give you a quick demonstration. It's not a how-to, and it's not advertising this product. What I'm advertising is these little grinders. They come in all shapes and forms, so you know, yeah, don't struggle on with like chainsaw files if you're struggling, and you know, and if you don't want to keep going back to a garden centre shop or a workshop to get it professionally sharpened, something like this, a little device like this, could be all the difference to get you back cutting again. So I'll let you have a little look. So all it requires is me to connect up to the proper terminals, and I think this is the good battery. One of them, I should split it. There you go, I've got power. And basically I'm going to insert this into a tooth, which would be this one here, and I'm going to select the angle, which I've been sharpening to 30 degrees, and just put it going. And a couple very quick passes and I'm good to go again. Right, there's the batteries all connected up, chainsaw there with the blade I want to do, or a chain. You can see I've got the degrees marked on that plate. I've just basically got to hold that plate to whatever angle that line says that I want to sharpen. So basically find a actual tooth I want to do this with both hands, safety equipment, and I'm doing to 30 degrees. Just a couple passes. So as silly as it sounds, I didn't even believe anything like this existed, this kind of tool existed. So, you know, when I was shown it, I was pleasantly surprised. And yet again, like I said, it was a game changer for me. And I've talked to quite a few people that don't really know these little cheap little chain sharpening devices are available. And like I said, I paid probably less than £20 I think for this online, and it come with a raft of tools and that. Like I said, I'm not doing a product review and I'm not doing a how-to. All I'm showing you and telling you is there are chain sharpening devices which you can make your chainsaw serviceable if you're struggling with a file and you don't want to use any of those contraptions to try and sharpen at an angle, or any other kind of device, or taking it to a shop. Something like this to get you back in the game. So as always guys, always use safety gear when you're doing anything around chainsaws, even the sharpening and things like that. Personally, I've learned a valuable lesson in that kind of field, and I'm one of those that bang on about it, and I've done 55 years without an accident. So take my word for it, safety gear with whatever you're doing. Right, one of the negatives to this, and I've seen it, I was getting a little bit dim and I could see quite a lot of sparks flying off the chain at certain angles. So I should imagine if you kept going over the same spot, you're needlessly taking metal away from the actual chain. And if you're not adhering to the actual degree that you're putting on the actual sharpening of the chain, you're probably going to do damage to the chain, because it's going to have varying degrees of angle, so it'll cut all over the place. So you need to pay attention to what you're doing, and also pay attention to how much metal you're removing. It should just be little passes just to re-sharpen. It shouldn't be there trying to grind a complete new surface. But saying that, my chain was pretty knackered because of me filing it, so it took a little bit of an effort to get it back. But yeah, be careful, as you could ruin your chain. Very light passes and to a set angle. Right then, all that's to be said is take care, stay safe, and I hope to see you guys out on the trail.